today marks a year since Russia began their invasion. Putin began the invasion of Ukraine. And we'll talk about a bit of news in regard to that in a second here in relation to China. But with this 1 year mark comes, for me and hopefully you as well, a continued support for the United States supporting Ukraine's defense of themselves. And we've talked about extensively the reasons behind that. A lot of people in the United States recently are very critical of that support. And I really do think it's crucial that we advocate on behalf of everything up to a certain point, obviously, that the United States can do, they should be doing to support Ukraine in their defense of themselves against Russia here. But with that being said, the news in regard to China has to do with a 12-point plan they've released for peace when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war. And overall, just my general points on this, and we'll dive into some specifics. The feeling, before I even looked into it, that I had when I saw this kind of in headline form was a little negative, because generally I'm skeptical of China's stance on the Russia-Ukraine war because their track record the last year has been not good. They've been supporting economically Russia and not taking a strong stance against Russia in this. And that is what's necessary here, the entire world to unify around Ukraine so that Russia has to and is forced to end the unjustified invasion. And so already I knew it probably wasn't going to be something that I fully was excited about because of China's track record, and they don't seem to have the correct stance on this. And as I dove into it, my feeling was, my foreshadowed feeling seemed to be correct. While there are definitely things on this list, is the 12-point plan, that I agree with and would be good in a vacuum, the general point that's being sent, I think, the message that's being sent with this plan is one of, this is a both sides conversation. In a way, everything's a both sides conversation, obviously, but I mean both sides in the way we use that term to mean taking accountability or the necessity for accountability away from someone by evenly distributing it across both parties when both parties aren't equally to blame here. And in this situation, there is one party to blame. There is one individual, one entity, being the Russian government, to look at and to say, you are responsible for and could end the war today. Putin could decide to end his invasion today of Ukraine. And so for China to convey a message of both sides are doing things wrong and kind of need to come to the table and figure out what's been going wrong in between them is dishonest to me, because all of the focus should be on the 1-point plan, which is Putin needs to stop invading Ukraine and stop violating the sovereignty of the country. So with all that being said, let's dive into the news here. China has called for a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia, according to a proposal released by its foreign ministry Thursday evening. The 12-point plan, which was issued at 9 a.m. Friday local time, comes after nearly a year of China serving as one of Moscow's closest allies while attempting to play neutral in the Russia-Ukraine war. Chinese President Xi Jinping also plans to deliver a peace speech before the United Nations on Friday, marking the 1-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. And then to look at just a simplified, for the purposes of this segment, a simplified batch of bullet points of these items. Respecting the sovereignty of all countries is the first point, which, who is not respecting the sovereignty of a country within the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Putin and Russia. They could stop doing that today, as I said. Abandoning the Cold War mentality is the second point. Ceasing hostilities, resuming peace talks, resolving the humanitarian crisis, protecting civilians and prisoners of war, keeping nuclear power plants safe, reducing strategic risks, facilitating grain exports, stopping unilateral sanctions, which would be taking a lot of the pressure off of Russia, keeping industrial and supply chains stable, and promoting post-conflict reconstruction. So again, I say there's points on there that would absolutely be good, but when you're having a conversation about things over here that would be good, and I do want peace, you're ignoring that the way we're going to have peace is Putin stops invading Ukraine. It really is a one-point plan. And getting distracted from that, I think, is a disservice to this whole situation. But here from the Associated Press, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky gave qualified support Friday for China's new pronouncements about the war in his country, saying Beijing's interest is not bad. It might be useful in isolating Russia. Our task is to gather everyone to isolate the one, Zelensky told a news conference on the first anniversary of the Russian invasion. China has shown its thoughts. I believe that the fact that China started talking about Ukraine is not bad, but the question is what follows the words. The question is in the steps and where they will lead to. So absolutely, it makes sense that that's Zelensky's response. And it's true that China, who's kind of had this neutral, not wanting to take a super strong stance, but still helping Russia in these different ways. It's good that they're on paper now pushing for peace. On paper now trying to come to the table, I guess would be one of the ways you would phrase it. But we do have to be skeptical. And we do have to say, as Zelensky did, that it's the actions that matter. And so China should, through their actions, show a serious understanding of the situation and motivation to get peace, which is through Putin ending the invasion. And he can make that decision. And hopefully the support that's been given to Ukraine, the strength of Ukraine, will eventually force Putin into doing just that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.